Alright, let's take a look see here. So I wanted to speak with the people who signed up prior to these brackets. We made it an effort to communicate with our players about how they'd like to go about things, and this is no different now. For those that have been in the unfortunate situation to sign up and have been unable to play due to low numbers, it's difficult to look towards a future where these brackets stay consistent in said future while also providing for those that want to dip into competing. We made several changes in order to promote further competition as well as make it more for the fair for those who lean further towards the beginner aspect of the spectrum, which is why I wanted to confide with you all. Would you be interested in shifting towards an exhibition series specifically aimed at beginners? Grab people who would be interested via form or any method, then host a few first to seven, first to tens, and then finally end it with a review for the losing players. This would give a different perspective on playing than what was intended, but we feel it could be a good way of going about giving those who take the time out of their day to come to these things while also not being as reliant on specific numbers showing up. Whatever decision is made here will be discussed with the moderation team and taken into account for future development. Thank you again for your time as well as your opinion. And then, okay, we scroll down here into the rest of the ladder here. You got Intimidating, you got Icy Liz, there's Pat Neko, Yukari, Augury Cap, and then myself and what I said. Alright, also there is a follow-up here, so her apologizing to the ladder. The thing is, okay, but I need people to show up for it. Otherwise, we'll probably just cut this branch entirely, and I don't want to do that. We've had like 4 brackets now where we've had to cancel, and that isn't fair to the players. It is what it is, but I want to make sure you all get something that you can benefit from. I'll discuss it with my team, and we'll get back to you all sometime down the line, most likely before the next bracket. So, within the week's time. We might try 1 or 2 more times because we have a huge announcement planned soon, and it would make sense to hold off until then to make a decision anyways. But either way, I appreciate you all telling me your thoughts. I want to keep that line of communication up, so please feel free to tell me your thoughts or critiques more often. That way we can consistently improve things to become as enjoyable as possible for you all. And then there's Mocha down here. Okay, so this was along the lines of what I had analyzed in BlazeBlue's community not that long ago when I made a prior open community analysis about the beginner into intermediate experience for the modern day journey into a BlazeBlue cross tag battle, which was an updated redacted version of my 2022 take that I wrote on Instagram. But this, so it's not exactly like this jeopardy of an arrangement, but this condition in which to sustain it here as a set construct for BBTAG. Here, where there's a great thing going on, being this event that people can play at to get better, improve, see natural organic growth, and not deal with systemic bus ass like any other bracket in this damn community. That's possibly actually in jeopardy of continuing due to people needing to show up and participate or contribute to the dial moving here. Like, my analysis was partially correct in assessing that intertwining fates and Midoriii here took away their brackets previously in a past era for instances just like this, with what's referenced here in this pending lack of the committed support to moving the competitive dial here. It's not that people don't support the push to create newer faces and combatants to come through the scene, but it's that people are supporting in the social sense and not trying to compete or share to bring in the appeal or enhance the appeal of different people who might be interested to help resonate the appeal better to newer faces. And so you have to ask yourself, what do you feel needs to be done in order to keep this here? What do they need to do in order to, I guess, continue the appeal of such a polarizing gameplay that is BBTAG? And you can't just take it off PlayStation and go to PC, because that's literally what the hell Training Mode Network is for, because it's only accessible on PC as a beginner-friendly area. The whole point is to have something here on PlayStation, so that way PlayStation people can have some type of entry thing to the ladder. At the same time, though, I see her point, because if PlayStation people don't want to contribute to this as consistently as it appears, then it does just go away until the market or the consensus shows that it is welcomed here again. And so it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. I'm going to keep something here because you don't want to just flat out take it away, because then nobody wins anything. And you can't keep it here if barely anybody wants to sign up in instances like this, which, I mean, this isn't the only game that has the same issue that happens, but this is a game where it does kind of face those issues unless it's already a natural BB tagger. Then it also kind of goes out the window also. So, damn, what do you really do in this instance? A key note here. Intertwining fates can interchange between the two activities for player convenience and can help with branding engagement. Exhibitions can lead into tournaments because of the drawn interest and engagement at those times, right? Good tournaments usually have the abundance of people interested to see what that is. Exhibitions draw from people just wanting to play at various X amount of times, as opposed to a tournament that's a preset time, depending upon if she wants to do open exhibitions or set exhibitions. The issue here is if people actually want that, because they have to show that they want this, and they haven't shown it except the few times when it's convenient, not because it's what's actually sought by the community, not because they went out of their way to see newer talent, but because they want to be about this selfish push to bring in new people into the community. Also, this isn't just for PlayStation, but PC too, since there's a rotation of the focus for both platforms from Midorii's branding here at Intertwining Fates. There's a stake in this for them as well that has to be considered, even though I feel the PC side will break even because they already have a leg up in the hosting discussion compared to console. That's a different argument for another day. I don't know how others here feel exactly about this. It seems like we're all on the same page in wanting this to still be here. For me, this is how I see it. So I still see myself as a beginner despite the varying performances. Places like this are needed highly for proper competitive evolution to craft. I might be able to block like a natural to any tag fighters, but the ability to identify or execute in that specific gridiron's way or formula, the formula in which that you have to play, like getting a 1-touch or a 2-touch, or however you do your whiff punishes to set up into those areas, those all have to be practiced. The ability to identify or execute in that formula is a constant trial to character matching and player matching. This is always changing. A character playstyle here doesn't really tell you about the player's playstyle. The characters help define that individuality with the player. Alright, further specifics we're delving into in this area is that this issue is another layer in the nurture versus nature argument in the large sense. I can be set for either or both that Midoriii chooses to act on, but you want to be warmed up or prepared before going right into sets. And that's a direct issue for this community, and this being a Discord fighting game to boot. A Discord fighting game being that it's a game that relies on Discord or an extra or third-party means for communication or socialization outside the game. This being Discord, or Twitter maybe to a degree, or Blue Sky to a lesser degree. I get excited to play after competing or watching, then I play, then I kind of just sit there waiting for a long ass time to play because BB tag matchmaking is ass, it's asser than ass. I leave, then it creates the adverse effect of me not really wanting to capitalize on labbing for so long when there's no one around to actually play for that labbing to pay off with. and try to spot natural productivity, only natural unproductive habits. But this process just loops till you have a more responsive experience setting up for games. And this shit's ass. No one wants to sit there and have like these huge pockets of a wait time to try and still stay on playing the game while you care to play the game, and then you can't get shit out of it. But it has to be some later time or some crack ass time period before games magically just pop up. Like, a part of this is either just bad timing on the player's side, bad meshing timing for the host, or work and other extremities IRL that are just fucking up a natural flow of what should be better timing arrangements for matchmaking queues with people that I would feel would be active at more sensible times for a community inclusive sake. Anyway, these are just my experience and my notes in why BBTAG is not good to play consistently or barely at all, unless it was already a main game for the player, or you had a better sense of timing with the totality of people that you're playing with, or you just have someone that you're always playing with all the time. Someone who's seeking an integral point to grind, scenes like these are welcomed greatly because beginner and starting friendly places aren't that common online to console to be an inviting process or even a stable one at that. Without these anchor places around to dip your feet into, myself for instance, like I wouldn't really be playing as much just to stay up always active and lose all the time, yet see no real progress despite all those losses, and what people are telling me that's visible to them, not to me. That's my reasoning for it, or people like me needing to embrace real progress in a constantly changing and vortexing experience willingly like this one. Another key note here is that there's no Matcherino included in this or tied to this. It stays grassroots driven and a grassroots focus point for the abundance of inclusion and equal opportunity. That's really good. Otherwise, it's just a part of the latent expectation coming here, since money would have been introduced as the core incentive over just getting better. People here have shown to be one track about money like that, and they don't need that shit here, so I'm glad. A part of this issue revolved around people playing others of their own skill level, so that way they can level up properly, and that's really not possible, or as common as others compared to this game community. The outer layer Midoriii is dealing with for intertwining fates really revolves around the inclusion, incentive, timing, and then the mood. The community issue is the inviting nature versus the polarizing presence of the game. The community issue is the mood or abundance atmosphere of BBTAG that's tied down to whether or not one person wants to play or is really playing on that platform to start a chain reaction, a positive chain reaction. Another issue I saw here was the ability of facing tournament nerves. And I'll excuse that last one because I faced that long ago myself, and I'm sure you have out there also. It's not a pretty thing to really deal with because you have to deal with the man in the mirror. And it's a hard process to tackle yourself and get over those nerves. And it happens in different levels, in different ways, in different comfort levels. So I'm not gonna condone people for having tournament nerves. That's normal. Barring that last response, I feel there's only but so much that Midoriii can do on her end to make Intertwined Fates more inviting than it naturally is for a game that's not naturally or initially beginner friendly. It's just the scene creating that beginner friendly point for gamers that was originally non-existent here, excepting for this or probably a Kraken Atkins of a past cycle. So, revising. What is the people's response here, besides those that are playing? I'm not really rummaging around for the comments here because outside the players that are playing, there are none. People just went back to autopiloting pings for games and that shitty-ass matchmaking like this shit doesn't apply to them or doesn't affect them. It feeds the problem I talked about earlier. I think the duality route for exhibitions and tourneys both is probably the more optimal conclusion that the Intertwining Fates team can arrive at for different players. And then we'll just have to wait for whatever the follow-up announcement is if this breakdown isn't tied to that. So let me know your thoughts and what you think the best core, or if there was something here that I missed entirely in the message in trying to keep these here for the scene at the beginner, intermediate, friendly level. Peace. You guys take care. I'll see you in the next community observation, all right?